Sexual assault is not a crime of passion. It is about the abuse of power. And that is precisely why it is one of the most serious allegations anyone who cares to be a public servant can be accused of. Sexual assault is about the abuse of power. It is always women who are marginalized. It is the young, it is the interns, it is the immigrant, it is the trans. They are always most at risk because society listens to them the least.
I agree with her entirely. She's absolutely right. They tend to be marginalized and society tends to listen to them least. Problem. There's a contradiction here. Believe women tend to get marginalized. All right. Joe Biden right now has sexual assault allegations against him. And the allegations have been getting more and more corroboration. You've had basically the assault documentation on it at one of the colleges that they won't necessarily let out. You've had neighbors recently, as yesterday, come forward saying, yes, she told me about this story. You've had her mom on Larry King, again, bringing up this very specific story. Basically, there were people around her that she talked to that she mentioned what was going on. And so the story gets corroboration. It's a credible case. It's a credible story. AOC comes out and says it's legitimate to talk about sexual assault allegations against Biden, and not discussing it to improve Biden's chances of beating Trump is exactly the opposite of integrity. Yes, I entirely, absolutely agree. And then you have this.
Is your agency...
Damn it. All right. You're going to have this video the moment that this video gets back on. My point is, there's a contradiction here in the way that they are talking versus what they are doing. Let's hear AOC talking to Fat Joe. That's really his name. Let's see the clip. If we could.
3 things you can do. You can vote for Trump. You can vote for Biden. Or you cannot vote at all. Who are you going to vote for?
In November, I'm going to be voting for Joe Biden.
So wait. So wait. In the first clip, during the Kavanaugh hearing, you make the very specific point that women tend to believe least in our society when they are coming about sexual assault, and that they should be believed, they should get to some degree the benefit of the doubt, not saying that you should automatically blame the other person, but the notion that you should ignore the female story in this is obscene. Not to mention, with everything that took place around the Kavanaugh hearings with Ford and all of these women raising a fist and everything else, you made a strong argument there. That argument is just as applicable to one Joe Biden. I appreciate you coming out saying, yes, these cases, this needs to be talked about. This is somewhat of a big deal. But it looks weird to turn around and say, yes, I'm going to back Joe Biden, despite the fact that Joe Biden is being accused of sexual assault. My point is, I hope you can see what I'm saying, that there is a contradiction in terms in the notion that Joe Biden is going to choose a woman president, a feminist, supposedly, woman president, while simultaneously being accused of sexual assault. All of these women, especially during the Kavanaugh hearing, had one mantra: believe Ford. I believe women. Me too. Hashtag. And now all of a sudden, all of these people are quiet. The catch here is the Tara Reade story is being thrust into the limelight because of the amount of pressure that has been pushed on media. And despite the pressure being put on media, when Washington Post finally runs this story, Trump allies highlight new claims regarding allegations against Biden. Katie Halper, Ryan Grimm, these were the people who brought the story out. It was on the left. They weren't Trump allies. Now, you may focus on Trump, who's going to weaponize this information, but that's not Trump's fault. Anybody worth their salt would weaponize this information. You basically have a candidate running as a rapist, and you don't have a situation where the party's standards are sufficient to exclude that person from the race, meaning being accused of rape credibly is not disqualifying to run in the Democratic Party primary. That's astonishing. I've heard Democrats make the argument, hey, if you have both two rapists in the party or two rapists in the race, don't you want the rapists with the best policies? This is the one concentration camp less argument, just in the terms of sexual assault. The level of hypocrisy here is mind-blowing. And again, from the standpoint of a woman who is running and is going to accept the nomination from Joe Biden, you better be certain you don't have videos out there where you were saying stuff like AOC is saying, and then saying, yes, but this guy is going to be my VP, or I'm going to be this guy's VP. I want to show you a problem that is extremely present, that is entirely being ignored, that will not be ignored the moment that you get into the general election. And if my name is Donald Trump, I will show you, two videos, or 3 videos that I would make that I don't know how Biden survives from that point of view, even if it's just from the standpoint of depressing the vote because people don't want to vote for somebody who's being accused of rape. Nevertheless, let's talk about it. Welcome to the Soapbox. My name is Jamal Thomas. This is the Progressive Soapbox. Guys, if you dig this content, please like, share, subscribe. You can always support through PayPal or Patreon. I like to say this content is brought to you by you because in real terms, it is. Also, definitely give the video a like and a share. I think I said that in the beginning. So I want to go just a few videos. I'm not going to keep this video long. I'm going to be as concise as I possibly can. I just want to point out the flaw in this idea that these guys are so politically cravenous that they are willing to ignore something that was absolutely disqualifying, supposedly for Brett Kavanaugh, was disqualifying for Al Franken, and disqualifying for a host of other people or men who got caught up in this. I guess my point is, it's amazing to me that Me Too applies, but only to Republicans. And the moment that you get political, a situation where it is political disadvantageous to you, the Democratic Party is willing to entirely just ignore it. For example, look at this. The various Democrats were contacted and refused to acknowledge sexual assault allegations against Joe Biden. When you read the article, basically they contacted every senator and they made the point that they gave them all the time in the world to respond. No response. Here's the other problem, right? Who's trying to become VP? We know Elizabeth Warren, we know Abrams, and we also know Kamala Harris. All of these people are trying to throw their hats into the ring. Kamala Harris last year made the point that she believed Tara Reade. Now she's throwing her hat into the ring for VP for the guy who, based on what she said last year, she's considering a sexual abuser. Look at Warren. Let's listen to this conversation between Warren and Chris Matthews. And this is after the Bloomberg debate where Warren got into Bloomberg's ass over the NDAs.
Pregnancy discrimination is real. And we have gone on and on and on where people say, oh, I can't really believe the woman. Really? Why not? Yeah. Mayor Bloomberg has non-disclosure agreements for who knows how many women. And it's not just the one. The whole point is, how can you actually trust someone who will not just say, look, I'm going to waive on non-disclosure on sexual harassment and discrimination. Yeah. Anybody who has a story to tell can come tell.
Sure, I agree with everybody deserves a credible response when they make a charge like that. My question about him, you believe he's lying?
I believe the woman.
You believe he's
Which
lying?
means he's not telling the truth.
And why would he lie? Because just to protect himself.
Yeah, and why would she lie? I mean, that's the question, Chris. Why do you assume
it's a striking
that he's the guy?
I just want to make sure you're clear about this. You're confident of your accusation.
Look, all I know is what she said and what he said. And I've been on her end of it in the sense of discrimination based on pregnancy. It happens all across this country, and men all across this country say, oh my gosh, he never would have said that. Really?
Now, Warren put this out as a campaign ad. She was so proud of that. I'm standing for women. I'm standing for women. She, supported multiple candidates down the line. And just so we're very clear and we're on the same page, let's hear the allegations from Tara Reade herself. This is what Tara Reade claims. And again, there are multiple corroborating witnesses during that time that explain her job changed, that explains she mentioned this either to her mom, who called into Larry King subsequently, and Reade kind of made the point that, yes, that's my mom. You have another situation where neighbors have come forward. I guess my point is, something that happened with Kavanaugh, when Kavanaugh was younger and in college, that I probably do believe exists, that did happen. Well, Joe Biden was an adult. Joe Biden was in politics, and he was a powerful person in Washington, so much so that they wouldn't even take her case. Like, to put that in perspective. So this is Reade. This is what she's saying happened. And by the way, they attacked her. They called her a Russian plant and all this other stuff. It's nonsense.
Up against the wall. His hands were on me and underneath my clothes. Yeah, and then penetrated me with his fingers, whatever. I couldn't believe it was happening. It seemed surreal. I just felt sick because when he pulled back, he looked annoyed. Like, he smiles when he's angry, and you can just feel it emanating from him.
At one point, she says that Biden looked at her and said, "I thought you liked me. I thought you liked me." Now, Warren, I believe the woman. I believe the woman. What about this? If I'm Donald Trump, on the day Joe Biden wins the election, I cut 2 videos. One video showing Warren with Chris Matthews saying, "I believe the woman," and another one with Warren saying this.
Fight for the policies, but also to fight for the people who will help us carry out those policies. You know, it's part of the reason you started out by pointing out this is the week that I endorsed Joe Biden. And I'm glad to do that. And it's partly because of policies. Joe Biden has said that he's in favor of canceling a chunk of student loan debt, that he wants to raise Social Security and disability payments, things that I really care a lot about.
After I show first Tara Reade's commentary, then show Warren saying, "I believe the woman," I would then show this with her saying, "I'm endorsing Joe Biden." And I would ask the very basic question, wait, do you believe the woman? And if you do believe the woman, how are you endorsing Joe Biden? And are you that politically carnivorous where you're willing to basically back somebody that's accused of rape, that based on your previous testimony that you implicitly believe? How do you select Warren under those guidelines? Meaning, when that ad starts running, your vice president has basically, to some degree, impeached you just because, based on her own belief system, you are guilty. Beyond that part being part of her belief system, the questions are going to start being asked to her. Do you believe Tara Reade in this case? And if so, why not? Warren has to answer that question. And if she doesn't answer that question is going to get more pressing by various press, who their own political incentive or their own financial incentive is going to supersede any kind of political incentive to get Joe Biden or protect Joe Biden, which means they start going after him harder on this very specific issue if he continues to try to dodge this issue. I hope you understand what I mean. There's a conflict. There's a very contradiction in the very choice of a female for this, especially if it's a female who is running politically, who is going with this notion that I'm a woman and I'm dealing with intersectionality and this type of stuff. And now you're dealing with a candidate that's being credibly accused of rape. How does that work? How does that work? I don't know how that works. Basically, the argument or the question that's going to be made is rape okay for the Democratic Party as long as you get policies? Is there nothing that's disqualifying in regards to the Democratic Party for a candidate who they're willing to run, including somebody who's accused of rape? And again, the issue here is that the way they behaved during the Kavanaugh hearings makes all of this magnificently hypocritical. The last part of this I want to show is this video, which again, first day, Joe Biden wins.
Do you think
this video, if my name is Donald Trump, gets aired? First, Tara Reade's claims, then this
time it's different, that we are seeing with the Me Too movement something that is truly going to lead to change for women?
Look, at its root, this is all about the abuse of power. It's all about the abuse of power. Whether it's Harvey Weinstein or the guy who, the plumber who has a secretary he harasses. It's all about the abuse of power, number one. Number two, women should be believed.
Do you think?
I agree, Biden. I agree. And when Trump runs that ad, where you're going to see Tara Reid make her case, and you're going to see Joe Biden saying women should be believed, you may even get Trump to get Tara Reid to talk about it in person. Meaning, I don't think they realize how horrendous this is and how weird it is for Joe Biden to choose a female vice presidential pick. Like I said, Kamala Harris last year said she believed Tara Reid's case. Elizabeth Warren here saying, I believe the woman, but at this point, yes, I still want the VP pick. Stacey Abrams went out going after Joe Biden, basically trying to make her pitch that she's the person that Joe Biden should choose for this particular position. Now, understand what's taking place here. All of these are supposedly strong women. All of these supposedly push hard for these feminist ideals. And yet, for political expedience, each of them are willing to take a position which, based on their previous political casting, that would implicitly assume that the guy is guilty. And none of that matters because all of them want to be vice president, especially when they think Joe Biden is not going to last all that long. This is problematic. And, you know, if you think the Hillary emails were bad, I don't think you've seen anything yet. They're going to try to figure out how to weaponize this. And again, I suspect the way to weaponize it is literally just to show Joe Biden saying one thing, Tara Reid saying something else. Elizabeth Warren saying one thing, Elizabeth Warren saying something else. AOC saying one thing, AOC saying something else. And show the vast weirdness that they are backing this guy who they are basically saying is most likely guilty, again, because they implicitly believe the female. I don't know how that works. I don't know how that works, but we are going to find out. We're going to find out. Marcus Will. Oh, thank you, Marcus Will. Like, share, subscribe. Thanks all. See you in a few.